Today's speaker will be Dr. Will Williams, the Public Relations Director of the Ontario Branch School.
Good afternoon, class. I'm very, very happy to see all of you here. You have no idea how delighted I am. Because as Public Relations Director, it's my job to advertise the school. And I remember many of you out there haven't even heard of Ontario class. I went on a trip to the Midwest 2 years ago. I went to 70 places, some of your places, and some of y'all thought I was from Ontario, Canada. Right? Y'all know. But now 2 years later to see you guys here, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is tremendous. I'm very, very happy, very elated that you came. And to echo our dean, the reason why we have these closed sessions is because we want to get into some of the things, of this doctrine. I feel like this, Dr. Kinley, when we received this stupendous, colossal, panoramic vision, if you just look up those words, that ought to tell you right there the depth and the width of what he was shown. And so you can never really learn everything about the vision. Even though we know that we'll be learning in ages to come, the thing that tells me is that in this age, that means I can learn all I want. See? So now, our subject for today, actually there's two subjects. The first one is this chart here, which is Nebuchadnezzar's dream, or the Daniel chart. Some of you senior members there remember this chart as the map. Okay, that's the first subject. The second subject is, who is the seventh angel? So now, before we can get into these subjects, I have to go through some preliminaries first, and bring up a few predicates, right? So, as I like to say, let us begin at the beginning, and that is John 4:24.
Yahweh is spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth.
Now, Yahweh is spirit. Now, everybody's Bible has that article A in there. It'll say God is a spirit. See? And I found it hard to kick that A right out of that sentence. Why? Because when you say Yahweh is a spirit, it denotes, well, here's one kind of spirit, and it infers that there's another kind of spirit in existence. And my humble point is, there's no such thing as two spirits anything, because Yahweh is spirit, and all things derive from him. He is the source, the substance, the limits and bounds of all existence. Even his name, Yahweh, means he who causes into existence whatever exists. He who brings into existence whatever exists. See? So now Yahweh is spirit. He's the source and substance of it, matter, and all its things is no more than spirit materialized. That is to say, these attributes, what you look at out here in the environment, are no more than wisdom, intelligence, love, beauty, knowledge, justice, knowledge, power, strength, manifested. See? A good example I like to use is this. That's a mountain. I flunked art school. Okay? That's why I operate a video camera. All right. These are clouds. All right. And then it rains. All right. You got rivers, lakes, and streams. This is the ocean. Now you got evaporation because you got the sun. Erase this. You got the sun in the sky, shining down, evaporating the water, turning into clouds, and then it rains. Condensation, correct? So now, when you see this, you're seeing the attributes in operation. Because it takes, see look, this is a scientific name for this process. It happens every second of the day of the earth. If it doesn't happen, then there's no life on this planet. It is called the hydrological cycle. See, evaporation, condensation, evaporation, condensation. Goes into lakes, rivers, and streams, go back into the ocean. Evaporate, condensation. It's a circle. That's indication. Now look, all the attributes are in play here because it takes wisdom to come up with something like this. It takes knowledge. It takes intelligence. It takes power to do that. This hydrological cycle is the foundation of the ecosystem on this planet. See, all the attributes are in play. And look, it takes love. It was out of love that Yahweh did. If this doesn't happen, then there's no fresh water for us. See, all the attributes are there. See, and look, isn't there a beauty to this? Ascending, descending, ascending. So all the attributes are in play here.
was Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
And the same in the beginning with Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made.
Now see, now that's this one right here that says Elohim, or probably rendered Yahweh. This is the great heavenly anthropomorphic being. That's a mouthful. This just simply means that here's a heavenly body without, in shape and form, without flesh and blood counterparts. Okay? This is the Word or Son. This is the express image of the invisible Yahweh. In other words, Dr. Kelly put it like this. I read this in an old pamphlet once. He said, the human mind cannot conceive what it cannot perceive. You cannot perceive this pure state of existence. So it behooves Yahweh to take on shape and form. In other words, to divest himself, see, or to take a death, because coming into the state is a death. Okay? Romans 1:19 and 20. I want that to
Because that which was may be known of Yahweh is manifest in them, where Yahweh has showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen.
So now the invisible things of him are clearly seen. How?
Being understood by the things that are made.
Being understood by the things that are made. So the things that are made are a reflection of the things that are invisible, that you cannot see or perceive. Read.
Even his eternal power and supernal nature, so that they are without excuse.
Even his eternal power and supernal nature, so that they are without excuse. Now look, it says eternal power and supernal nature. Now, and is a conjunction between two subjects. We'll take the first one. What is Yahweh's eternal power? Yahweh's eternal power is the power of transmutation. I will be what I will to be. See? Now, if you have Elohim standing here and say, well, he's always in shape and form, then what you have done, you have taken away his eternal power. Because without that, then nothing's going to happen. Because all this came in by the process of transmutation. See? Now, to show you more specifically, now we got Elohim here. He's standing here and he's standing on the paved work of a sapphire stone, i.e. the earth. Heaven is my throne, the earth is my footstool, Isaiah said. This image here is the same as this heart right here. They're both one and the same. So now, when I look on the 40-plate chart here, and I look at plate number 4, which is cosmogony. Now, the word cosmogony means the origin of the heavens and the earth. And here's this heart here. See, this heart is Elohim. And here's Elohim. See, now look, we got a tabernacle pattern here, folks. And this tabernacle is our guideline. It is our, matter of fact, I probably need to read that. Proverbs 8:22. And in the meanwhile, I need my towel.
Proverbs 8:22. Yahweh possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his work of holiness.
Now, Solomon, who wrote the book of Proverbs, is not speaking of himself, because Solomon was not in the beginning of Yahweh's way. So he's talking about someone else. He's referring to this one here, the beginning of his way, because this is the creation of Yahweh. When Yahweh Elohim took on shape and form, Yahweh, pure spirit, went out of business. He retired. He went into his rest. He did not go bankrupt. Because if you say he went bankrupt, then you say, oh, well, he ran out of spirit. And if he ran out of spirit, then there's nothing else, then you can't create nothing. But see, but Yahweh went to his rest, and it was the Son that performed the work. Read.
I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. Where there was no depth, I was brought forth. When there was no fountains abounding with waters, before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the dead.
When he set a compass upon the face of the dead. What is a compass? Isn't a compass a device to show you direction? You know? You need to know which way is north, you find a compass, because it will always point to the magnetic north. This is your compass. This is your direction finder. What direction is it showing you? Descending and ascending. See, this is your compass by which you use to navigate through the universe. Read.
When he established the cloud above,
Mhm.
when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree, and the waters should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by him, as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight,
Good enough. Go ahead.
rejoicing always before him.
Okay. Now, here we got Elohim, and he's inhabiting the most holy place. Now, we got Baals here. Now, Baals, let's say something about the Baals in this tabernacle. Baals are points of transition. Okay? They divide from one state to another. A very simple analogy would be this. You have H2O, which we all know what that is, right? Now, H2O in a highly heated state is steam or gas. When it cools down lower than 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 212 degrees Fahrenheit is a Baal. It's a transition. It makes a transition from gas to liquid. Then when you cool it down to 32 degrees, that's another Baal. It makes another transition from liquid to ice or solid. Now it works the other way because that's decent. Now when you ascend, when you heat up the ice and it heats more than 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it makes a transition from solid to liquid. Again, when you heat it up some more past 212 degrees Fahrenheit, another transition from liquid to steam. The Baal, see, in other words, the temperatures 212 degrees and 32 degrees in principle are Baals because they are the transition points between the states. See? Likewise, it is with pure spirit, matter. Here you got Elohim standing, here he is, that heart. That heart is him. And now if you see this little outline here, see, what it's showing you is the heart. Now what does the heart do? It beats. It pumps blood, pumps life. So here's Elohim pumping life into its creation. And he's making a transition, in part, into one hydrogen atom. That's why our founder wrote that section in the textbook, Comparative Exegetical Analysis. See, everybody seems to think Elohim came along and he grabbed this and did it. That is not what happened. He transmuted in part into one hydrogen atom. That's it. That's all he had to do. And one atom. And then what did he tell it? Told it no more than he told any of his creation. Be fruitful and multiply. One atom became two, two became four, four became eight, eight became, and then all of a sudden we got galaxies and stars and so forth and so on. But it started from one atom. How did you come into the world? You started off as one cell, did you not? It was taught about the sperm and the ovum. When the sperm fertilizes the ovum, even in its fertilized state before it goes through the process of mitosis, it's still considered one cell. Once it's fertilized, it becomes a zygote. Then it goes through mitosis. One cell becomes two, two becomes four, four becomes eight, and then billions of cells later, here you are. You come in the same way. See, you are a microcosm of the universe at large. You are the microcosm, the universe is the macrocosm. Or in other words, as Dr. Killing would say on this chart here, the greater and more perfect sanctuary, which is the universe. Okay? And that's what and it's right here on the chart. See, that's why it says here, in Acts it talks about he made of one man, all nations of men, to dwell upon the face of the earth. Well, hey, it started off with one Adam, then it became two, then it became four, then eight, and then now we got 6 billion plus on this planet, but it started off with one man. You see that? And so now that's how the creation come in. And that's how Yahweh is doing his work. He's doing it according to a set pattern, which is himself. He is the archetype of the original pattern of the universe, or as I like to say, he is the original 92nd atom. Because see, the hydrogen atom is only a proton and an electron. It doesn't have a neutron. Now somebody said, well, wait a minute, I thought we talk about everything's threefold, and we do it all the time, proton, neutron, electron, and so forth. But why is the hydrogen atom two? Well, see, it's showing forth that it is created in the image and likeness of Elohim. What do you mean? Because see, you got Elohim here. Here he is standing here on the earth. See, incorporeal body standing on the earth. You got incorporeal and the earth representing the physical. They're both within the invisible third part, which is pure spirit. Just like the hydrogen atom dwells within his invisible third part. It's a reflection of that. See, he is the original 92nd atom, from which all things come out of. Okay? Now, when we talk about the universe, now the universe is in two parts. See, when people talk about the universe and the world, they think of galaxies and stars and nebulas and black holes and such. But we'll have you know that the universe is more to it than that. There is a physical creation, and there is an angelic creation. These are the two transmuted witnesses of Yahweh. In fact, you could say they are the host of Yahweh. Because by Yahweh of hosts, you've seen that phrase in the Bible. Well, who are the hosts of Yahweh? The physical creation and the angelic creation. Now, that's signified by the pattern. Because here's the cloud sitting on the mercy seat. Who's his host up here? You got Michael and Gabriel. His two witnesses looking into the cloud, witnessing to the glory of the cloud. Just as the angelic creation and the physical creation witnesses to the glory of Yahweh. It's the same thing. Okay? Now, let's get Isaiah 14 and 12.
Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?
Maybe we shouldn't have read that one first. Maybe let's get Ezekiel. Hold that. Get Ezekiel 28 first. My bad.
Ezekiel 28:13.
Where it's about son of man.
28 and 12. Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus say Yahweh Elohim, thou sealest up the sun, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of Yahweh.
Now Ezekiel's writing, and he's writing under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, and he's using a physical man, the king of Tyre, as an example. Because we already talked about it takes the natural things to understand the invisible. So he's using a natural king to understand a spiritual king. See, in this case, Lucifer. See, because one is a type of the other. So, and see, because the king of Tyre, the king of Tyre has never been in the Garden of Eden. Right. See, I only see is Adam and there's Eve, and then there's the serpent up here. Yeah. So the physical king of Tyre has never been up here, but he's just a type. See, read.
Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold, the workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou was created.
Hold it. Now, it talks about these stones. I think there were like 10 of them. There's 10 of them. Why 10 of them? See, it's pointing to the attributes. Because see, look, believe it or not, Lucifer is created in the image and likeness of Elohim too. Were it not so, you would not be able to track him by the pattern. So now he's got these attributes, see, and look, we say, wait, I thought there was just 9 attributes. Well, wait, this is a theophany right here. So now you got these attributes here. You got 6 of them in the most holy place, 3 of them here, and none here. Now these 9 attributes are encouched within the 10th attribute, which is the kingdom. See, prepared for us from the foundation of the world. Now you say, well, how can you prove that? Well, let's look at your physical body. Your physical body, as we told you, is a reflection of that. You have 9 systems in your body. See, and those 9 systems are encouched within the 10th system of the body. That's your skin. But it has a scientific name. That name is the integumentary system. Your 9 systems are encouched within your skin. The 10th system, I learned this in the anatomy class because I'm a nurse. The 10th system of the body. Why? Because, hey, these 9 attributes come together and they form and they are encouched in the 10th attribute. The kingdom. Matthew 24:34, quickly. Is it right?
34?
Yes.
Verily I say unto you, that generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled.
25:34. That's what it says here. Matthew 25.
Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world.
Prepared from the foundation. And see, in this kingdom, what's in it? Wisdom, intelligence, knowledge, love, beauty, justice, foundation, power, strength. And you are a reflection of that with your 9 systems and your skin. Now, here's Elohim up here. Oops, one. Okay, now we got this here. This is called plate 14, Angelic transgression. Now here we got Michael and Gabriel here flanking the heart, which is the law, spirit law, which is what Elohim is, because we showed you, see. That's who he is, see. They're one and the same. He is universal spirit law. In other words, more to the point, he is a universal spirit pattern with a universal spirit law embedded therein. Okay? So now he created the angelic and the physical creation. According to Moses' vision, he created the angelic creation first. In other words, it's like this. Dr. Kelly says it like this: in the future existence of man. He said, now on the tabernacle, we got angels on the veils here. See, and they represent the angelic creation. Now, the question is, are these veils on the outside of the tabernacle or are they inside the tabernacle? See, they're inside. Why? Because that's where the creation comes from within Elohim. Because here's this happening. He birthed the creation. Hey, he's male and female in one embodiment. He doesn't need it. He's equipped to make a creation. Just like you are equipped. I'm equipped to make a creation. I do not have to go back to my natural father and say, hey, Pops, you think you can loan me a couple of sperm? Because there's this chick over here I really, really want to fertilize. I don't have to do that because I'm equipped to do that. See, just like Elohim. See, he is equipped. He's equipped to make a creation. All within it. I mean, when Yahweh came in part into this state, hey, it was complete. Yahweh, pure spirit, didn't have to do anything else. Hey, it was the Son who carried out the will of the Father. Okay? So now he's creating a creation. And he's got an angelic creation. Okay? Maybe I could use the textbook. Let's get the third volume quickly. Quickly, because we don't have much time here. Third volume, when it says reproductive, it says section reproduction versus birth control. Thank you. It's in the third volume, reproduction versus, let's see. I think it's page 29, third volume.
Page 29.
Okay, wait a minute, let me just, because we don't want to read the whole thing. I want, okay, where it says this abundant physical birth rate. You're on the wrong page. You're in fourth volume, madam.
This abundant physical birth rate
Read louder.
is to be manifested in order to perfectly reflect the spiritual realm.
Now, it's talking about down here in Egypt, see. The Israelites, 70 souls came down here, and they multiplied down in Egypt, okay? And which is a reflection of the number of angels up here in heaven. Read.
When Elohim created the angelic hosts, they were without number.
They were out innumerable. Read.
The number of the stars of heaven, typified by the angelic hosts. And no one has to be able to count them. They were created to serve, honor, obey, and glorify Elohim.
Now, that's what they were created to do. All of them, okay? Read.
But Satan caused a third part of them to fail. Revelations 12, 4, 5.
Just read.
This shows that Satan was operating in the spiritual realm to curtail the number of angels that would serve Elohim.
In other words, just like down here in Egypt, Pharaoh was trying to curtail the number of the Israelites down here. You find a boy baby, throw it in the Nile. Girl baby, save it alive. See, it's the same principle. You look at that to understand up here in heaven. Because Lucifer, by his tail, see, when he told them that, see, that was the same. Well, read it.
Since angels do not procreate as physical beings, there was nothing that Satan could do in limiting their number.
He couldn't limit the number. See, the only thing he could do was try to spread his lie or his poison among them to draw them to his side. Read.
But he could influence a great number of them to worship him rather than Elohim, and the result would be the same as if they had not been created.
So once they crossed the line, it was as if though they had never existed. In other words, it was a point of no return. There is no repentance. There is no coming back. See, Dr. Kinley once said, I heard this on the tape, he said, hey, Lucifer, he ain't got no remorse. He has no remorse at all for what he does. And he's good at what he does. He is not a liability. He's an asset. See, read.
Now there can be nothing but the same thing happening in the physical plane as happened in the spiritual realm, where the visible things portray the invisible things. Therefore, the Apostle John sees in his vision on the Isle of Patmos this great red dragon, Satan, standing before the woman, Virgin Mother Earth, and the Virgin Mary. ready to devour his son as soon as he was born. This is an act of birth control on the part of Satan.
And now that's his thing. Birth control. See, he doesn't want you to be born.
Right.
See, he wants you to be stillborn, if anything. Be born dead or a miscarriage. See, birth control is something the satanic spirit has practiced from day one up to today. Because when you believe erroneous doctrine, that's nothing but birth control. It's causing you to be spiritually miscarried, spiritually aborted. See, that's his thing. He doesn't want you to be born of the Holy Spirit. See, read.
He is trying to keep the offspring from being born, trying to kill it after it is born. He is thus Yahweh's opponent and tries to impede the purpose of Yahweh. There is another instance of this effort on the part of Satan to kill off those that Yahweh has caused to be born. For Herod had commanded at the time of the birth of Yahshua the Messiah that all the Hebrew children 2 years and under be slain. Here again, Herod is the satanic type, and he's attempting to control the birthing of the righteous Yahshua from the womb.
Okay, that's good enough. Go back to Ezekiel.
Ezekiel 28 and 14.
Wherever you left off. I did say hold it.
28:14. Thou art the appointed cherub that covered.
Now, wait. Read that again.
Thou art the anointed cherub that covered.
Now, thou art the anointed cherub that covered. What do you mean? Now, look. You got these angels on the veil here. Now, this is just a two-dimensional depiction here. But I would have you know that this veil, this departmental veil, was not just in the front, but it went all around the most holy place. In other words, there were angels in the front, angels on the side, angels in the back, angels on the other side, and angels on the top. And Lucifer was an angel on the top. There's a scripture in 1 Corinthians where it talks about there's a glory of the sun, the glory of the moon, and the glory of the stars. And each star differeth in glory. Now, you all know that. You can just go out at night sometime. And you can see, on a moonless night, you can see certain stars are brighter than others. And if you was to pick one star out, that would say the brightest of them all. Now, an astronomer would say this, well, that star brightness, because it's brighter than all the other stars, is a star of the first magnitude. We'll say this star is the brightest one in the sky. Now, let's say this star is pretty bright, but it's not as bright as this one. So then you would say this star's brightness is of the second magnitude, because it's a little less brighter. So now these stars are typifying the angels up here. So you can say Lucifer was an angel of the first magnitude. See? And he's on the veil. But now read on in Ezekiel.
Thou art the anointed cherub that covered, and I have set thee so.
I set you like that. That's no accident. See, some people think, out in the world, say, well, Lucifer is some Frankenstein accident by God. I either went to some experiment that went awry, and I've got to figure out a way to hope. No, it's not like that. Yahweh created him to be that and set him so like that. Read.
Thou wast upon the holy mountain of Elohim.
See, this is the holy mountain of Elohim. See, read.
Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire.
That's the angels. See, the stones of fire. Read.
Thou wast perfect in thy ways.
He was perfect in his ways. In other words, he was leading the choir. All praise to Yahweh, all praise to Yahweh. Come on, y'all. All praise. He was leading the choir. Perfect in his ways. Till what?
Until iniquity was found in him.
Read.
By the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence.
Now, by the multitude of thy merchandise, that's another thing. See, now we did already pointed out some characteristics. One, he's into birth control. Two, he's in the merchandising. Read.
And thou hast sinned, therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of Elohim, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, in the midst of the stones of fire. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. Thou hast defiled thy sanctuaries by the multitude of thine iniquities, by the iniquity of thy traffic. Therefore,
by the multitude of his traffic. See, you know what traffic is, and I ain't talking about a busy intersection. Right. Traffic, that's when she's buying and selling. It was a movie about a drug dealer. They called it traffic. You traffic, you selling them. Oh, you trafficking. That's his traffic, what? His lies. Yeah. See, his lies, his birth control, all of that, his traffic. See, you buy, hey, I sell a lie, You buy it. That's pretty much it. Is there anything else? Go ahead, quickly, go to Isaiah, because I need to run here.
Isaiah
14 and 12.
Isaiah 14 and 12. Oh, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?
Read.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will sit also upon the mountain of the congregation on the sides of the north.
And why the sides of the north? Why not the sides of the east? Or the side of the west? Or the side of the south? Why the sides of the north? Well, if you look at a diagram of the tabernacle pattern, see, you had these emblems, these enzymes, right? So you had Judah out here with the lion. See, you got Dan over here. Oh, I forget it at the moment, but you get the eagle, all right? So now Dan was over here. This is the east right here, right? This is the east, this is the west, this is the south, this is the north. Dan was the emblem of the enzyme on the side of the north, right? What does the word Dan mean? It means to judge. So when he says, I will sit in the sides of the north, what he is saying is, I will sit in the judgment seat. That's what he's saying. That's why in Revelation it talks about Gog and Magog. See, from the north. Why? Because I'm going to sit in the judgment seat. He's already doing that already. The Pope talking about, in time, see, you got the Pope here, see, he's sitting in the sides of the north here. Sitting in the judgment seat. Read.
14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds.
I'm going to ascend above the heights of the clouds. In other words, he's up here on the veil. He's above the mercy seat. I'm going to ascend that. Read.
I will be like the Most High.
I will be like the Most High. And that's all he does, too. It's going to be like the Most High. And not only is he going to be like the Most High, he's going to even take it a step further. I remember an analogy Dr. Kinley made once about the Pope. And there's a picture in the textbook in the second volume about the Pope kissing somebody's feet. All right? So now he washed the feet and he kissed it. Now, he's trying to imitate Joshua back here because Joshua washed the disciples' feet, correct? But you ain't never read nothing about Joshua kissing no feet. So now here's the point. I will be like the Most High and a little extra. See, a little bit above that, a bit because he said, I'm going to ascend above the heights of the cloud. Read.
Sorry.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to the grave, to the sides of the pit. They shall see thee. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdom, that made the world as wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof?
Okay.
That opened not the house of its prisoner.
That's good enough. All right. Now, let's get Revelations 12th chapter. See, I have to go through these preliminaries first before I even get to this chart. And now, while she's doing it, I'll just say something about this chart. This chart was drawn, as I understand it, because I had to ask for information, was drawn by Dr. Carl F. Gross under the direction of Henry Clifford Kinley. Now, he was the co-founder of this school, as well as Dr. Kinley, his longtime companion, and he was also the very first student in his organization, as I understand it. See, and yet this chart is probably one of the most least understood. At least I don't hear too many people go through it. And I know people say things about Dr. Gross, but hey, if I had thought about it when he was alive, I would have asked him about this chart. See, and so now, you got that?
Revelations 12 and 7.
Where it says, "In the war in heaven."
12 and 7, King James. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not.
And they prevailed not. Read.
Neither was their place found any more in heaven.
All right. Neither was their place they found any more in heaven. That's why we got it here on the chart. It says transgression right here. See, that's right here on the veil. So now they're coming out, and they got to go through a veil here, and they come out here into this state of incorporeal visibility. That simply means this. Now he's in a position that he can appear to somebody, just like he appeared to him. Help me out. Help me out. Help me out. Thank you. So now he's in a position where he can be seen. See? He sees him. So now he's in a state of incorporeal visibility. Okay? Read.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Now they were cast out into the earth, they were cast out here. Now this is the unformed earth down here. And they're just out here, which is really a bottomless pit. Paul talks about he was taken up to the third heaven. All right? So now if he's taken up to the third heaven, that would preclude there's a first and a second heaven. Okay? So now the third heaven is the reality. So what is the other two heavens are about? Well, the first heaven, see, that's space. That's space. See, look. Let's go here. Space is dark. It's black. The earth hangs like a ball in space. In other words, people talk about, well, I'm going to heaven when you die. I tell you, you sure are, because you're going to get buried in the ground. That's the first heaven. You are standing on the first heaven. Now, the second heaven, I'll go here. That's the atmosphere. See, birds fly through it, rain comes down from it. But the third heaven, see, that's not above the sun and the stars. That's a state. See? And I'll tell you something else. The first and the second heaven emanate from the third. So now he's cast down here. He's in the bottomless pit, so to speak. All right? The earth is created. He sees everything comes out. The man is created. But as long as the woman is in the man, ain't nothing happening. But now when the woman is taken out of the man, then he says, oh, okay, let's walk on over here. That's when he starts doing this thing. Is there anything else I want to read?
I heard loud voice.
No. I wanted to say this. Go back to this. There was war in heaven.
7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought, and his angels...
Here's a question. How long did that war last? I know it's an eternity, but I got to see a type somewhere. How long did the war last? See, I can go back here and look up King Saul back here. Because King Saul, he's ruling Canaan land, which is a type of the most holy place. And he ruled for 40 years. Okay? And he was a type of the satanic spirit. Now, 1,000 years is as one day, as Peter writes, and it's also in Psalms. 1,000 years is as one day, and a day is as 1,000 years. So now, if I were to take 1,000 years and divide it by 24 hours in a day, it would come out to about 41.1 years. Rounded off, that would be 40 years. So that would equal 1 hour. 1 hour prophetically is 40 years. So that's how I know how long that war lasted, about an hour. Because that's how long King Saul lasted up here, about an hour, or 40 years. You see that? See? Okay. Now, we got Lucifer down here. He's down here on the earth. He's up here in the garden. He's up here in the garden, deceives the woman. The woman, gives the fruit to the man. The man willingly dies for the bride. See? And then they are cast out of the garden. Okay? So now, Cain, who was born, now he's Adam's son, but he carried on that disposition of the satanic spirit. Now, what, Genesis? 4th chapter. I think it's 4th chapter.
Fourth chapter, Genesis 4:1.
Sure.
And the man knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man, even Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
And she again bare his brother Abel.
Mm-hmm.
And Abel was herder of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground.
All right. One is a shepherd, the other is a farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Read.
And it came to pass in the end of the days that Cain brought of the first fruit of the ground an offering unto Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
And Abel, he also brought of the firstling of his flock,
Mm-hmm.
and of their fat. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and unto his offering.
Mm-hmm.
But unto Cain and to his offering he had no respect. And
Mm-hmm.
Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth?
Now, hold it for a minute. Why didn't Yahweh accept Cain's offering? Now, there's a lot of reasons why, but really the main reason is this. Abel offered up a sacrifice. He shedded blood, which typifies the remission of sin. Cain didn't offer that. He offered up first fruits. In other words, he's out of sequence. See, you got to offer up blood. See, blood is required for remission of sin. Now, it betrayed what was on Cain's heart and mind. See, because when he offered up the first fruits, he wasn't really offering it up for contrition. He was exalting himself.
Yes.
So now Yahweh didn't accept that sacrifice. Now, read where you're at.
Why art thou wroth?
Mm-hmm.
And why is thy countenance fail? If thou doest well, thou shalt be exalted.
Now, if thou doest well, thou shalt be. What do you mean if you do it well? How can he do well? Hey, go ask your brother for a lamb.
Right.
Now, if you do that, hey, it'll be well with you. Read.
And if thou dost not well, sin offering lieth at the door,
Mhm.
and unto thee shall be his desire,
Mhm.
and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel his brother,
Mhm.
and it came to pass when they were in the field,
Mhm.
that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew
Now,
him.
he rose up against his brother and slew him. Now, if you see the depiction here, this is plate 16, the antediluvian age apostasy. So now it starts with Cain slaying Abel. And he slays him with Abel's shepherd crook. Took the crook out of hand and just slayed. And look, Abel didn't offer any resistance. He just willingly let Cain kill him. See, why? Setting up a type of what Yahshua is going to do down the line. So now that's a death. But see, we're going, see, all these places are going by the pattern. See, so now that's a death. And now his Cain's consciousness is immersed in wickedness. And then he's led by the Spirit out into the wilderness of Nod, into the land of Nod, or the land of wandering. And he's got his wife with him, his bride. And he's showing his wife, yeah, I'm going to build a city over here, we're going to do this. And see, Yahweh, let me read on quickly.
And Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother?
Mhm.
And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what hast thou done?
Mhm.
The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me
Mhm.
from the ground. And now thou art cursed from the ground, which has opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood in from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A wanderer shalt thou be in the
Mhm.
earth. And Cain said unto Yahweh, my iniquity is greater than I can bear.
Mhm.
Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the ground,
Read.
and from thy face
Mhm.
shall I be hid, and I shall be a foreigner, a
Fugitive
and a wanderer
and the
in the
one.
earth.
Oh,
And
back
it shall
on. Go ahead.
and it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me.
Mm-hmm. So,
And, Yah-
go ahead now. Go ahead. I'll see something later.
and Yahweh said unto him, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain,
Mm-hmm.
vengeance shall be taken on him
Mm-hmm.
sevenfold. And Yahweh set a mark upon
Set
Cain.
a mark on his forehead. Now, what that mark look like? It was the mark of a cross. And it's so odd because when people, nowadays do Lent and stuff, they put the charcoal on, and I'm like, boy, I said, this ain't the way it came. Because that's the mark. And look, Cain took that mark and said, and look, they weren't the only ones in the world. Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve had brothers and sisters. Because it said Cain went, read over starts where it says when Cain left with his wife. Well, yeah, come on.
And Cain went from the presence of Yahweh and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived.
Where did she come from?
Adam.
See, Adam had sons and daughters. Now, these people out in the world, they don't understand that, because the story and the purpose right now is just focused on Cain and Abel. But they weren't the only people around. See, In fact, what was Cain's wife's name?
Mrs. King.
How about Mrs. Cain? That's an old joke in this class. That was told to me when I first came in this class, okay? So I'm just passing it along. All right, read on.
And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch, and he built a city. And he called the name of the city after the name of his son.
Now, he built the city. He built the city without any divine specifications, without any divine instructions, without any divine authority, and he set himself up as the ruler. In fact, you can say this. People talk about globalization. Hey, when Cain built the city of Enoch and that became the capital of the earth, that was globalization. That's all it is. No different than what it is today. Globalization is just the satanic spirit just trying to conquer the world. Hey, that's what Cain did back here. And just to, since I'm back here in the antediluvian age, this was a pretty different age, because see, at that time, the world was just one landmass at that time. They weren't the 7 continents as we know them as today. It wasn't until the flood came when the fountains of the deep broke open and pushed these continents apart. You can read about it in geology in a section called plate tectonics. See, also there were great creatures back here like dinosaurs and stuff like that back here. See, and it's something else that's really, I don't hear too often anymore. When Adam was created, he was a giant of a man.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how tall he was, but I can tell you this. I know by the pattern he had to be at least 15 feet tall. The reason why is because, look, the long boards, see, look, the bone structure of a man represents pillars, bars, and boards in the tabernacle. So now the long boards in the tabernacle represents the long bones in the body. And they would have to be at least 15 feet because that's how long the boards were. So I know at the very least, Adam was at least 15 feet tall. They were giants. And then you got these dinosaurs back here, and T-Rex, and it's so funny because, you know, they got these movies like Jurassic Park. And I remember this old movie. Anybody remember this old movie, 1 Million Years BC, with Raquel Welch? I saw it as a young teenager, and I didn't go to see the dinosaurs either. So, but they had these little people running away from these dinosaurs. Man, that didn't happen back here. In fact, if you want to get an idea what this age was like, a good example to watch would be the cartoon, The Flintstones. Now, it's a bit exaggerated, I'll admit, because when you look at the cartoon, then, you know, Wilma Flintstone, she want to wash the dishes, she pulls out an elephant trunk and gets the hose. Fred Flintstone want to hit a photograph, he pushes this woodpecker down, you know what I'm saying? They want to book a trip, they fly Pterodactyl Airlines, you know? In other words, the man run the animals. They controlled it. They were king. That's what happened back here. The man controlled it. What did they do to these animals? They put them to work. You know, somebody like a T-Rex, you'll get him like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Bigger. Nah, not for these guys. If anything, a T-Rex will get pimp slapped and turned into a guard dog. See, when Yahweh created the man, he brought all these animals to the man and he named them. Now, they came to him. And Adam said a lion, a horse, a donkey, a dog, a cat. Now, look, when he said that, it wasn't just one animal there. It was two. The male and the female, because they represented the king and the queen of their species. So now he's naming them off. They're the king and queens of their species. And here's Adam in the midst. He's king too. So now he's king of kings. And then you're going to tell me something about T-Rex chasing. Man, you out of your mind. Hey, today, man, there's no animal on the planet that can withstand a man. We go whale hunting. You know, you can go to Japan and get you a whale tip, okay? You know, yeah, get you throw some of that hot sauce on, you know what I'm saying? We done hunted, I mean, the whale is the biggest creature on the planet. We nearly hunted it to extinction. So don't tell me about, you got 1 million BC, Jurassic Park, and, people running from these dinosaurs. Nah, that ain't happening. We got a brain. We'll find something for you. We'll find a formula for you to take care of you, Mr. Animal. Because we are king. Yahweh designated us as such. Okay? Where we at?
18.
Read.
And Enoch was born,
That's good enough. That's good enough. So that's the point I wanted to make with Cain. He built a city, and he built a civilization. He built an empire. Okay? Now this is what we're doing. Is one of the aims of our class is tracing the satanic mystery down through the dispensations and ages of time. Okay? So now, let's move on and get to Genesis 9:1 quickly, because I'm running out of time here already.
Genesis 9:1.
Mm-hmm.
And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth,
Mm-hmm.
and upon every fowl of the air.
Now, this is after the flood. See, now he's telling them the fear of you and the dread of you are going to be all the animals, okay? Read.
Upon all that moveth upon the earth,
Mm-hmm.
and upon all the fishes of the sea, into your hand are they delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things.
Okay, that's good enough right there. So now, here we got Noah and the ark here. See, I'm just expediting this. And now we got the flood. And see, you got the ark sitting here on the mountains of Ararat. It's sitting on two mountains up here. And we got the rainbow. Go down to where the covenant is. Just go down that chapter quickly.
11. And I will establish my covenant with you.
Mm-hmm.
Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of the
Now,
flood.
this is the covenant that Yahweh made with Noah. You got it written up here, don't we? Yeah. The Noahic covenant. This is the covenant after the flood. See, now Yahweh's telling Noah, I'm not going to destroy you by a flood again. Read.
Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And Elohim said, This is the token of the covenant which I made between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud,
Mm-hmm.
and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth.
So now when you see a rainbow, that's the sign of the covenant that Yahweh made with man, saying that he would not destroy the earth by water again. And now it's in the cloud. Why is it in the cloud? Because see, when you just draw a line and come over here, see, you will realize that the rainbow in the cloud is a type and shadow of the flash of the Shekinah. See? Because that's what Yahweh did with the high priest. He appeared in the cloud. Just like this rainbow appeared in the cloud. And a rainbow is made up of 7 prismatic colors, is it not?
Yeah.
See? So now we just see that, okay? So now these animals come out. Now look, the ark is up here. The animals come out first. And animals being territorial creatures, they went out and staked their claims, you know? And then the man came. Now, since the fear of you and the dread of you are going to be on all the animals, see, you go now, you know, some guy walking down to see a nice lush valley, say, man, this is a nice place. I think I'm a homestead here. I'll put my house there, make that my North 40, and plow, you know, some corn and beets and all that, you know. But unbeknownst to that guy, that territory might have been staked out by a party of lions, or with some tigers, or bears. Oh my. And see, and the animals, they got the fear of it. So now when the man comes along and invades their territory, the animals like, oh, wait a minute, oh, man is here. Now look, you need to get away from here. No, we don't want you around here. See, because we know what will stay with us. They say, you know, we could be food for you. And so an animal will attack you if you threaten it, or if you corner it, or if you threaten its young. Most animals would rather leave the man alone if they can. But if you put an animal in a position where he can't leave you alone, that animal will attack you. See? So now that was a problem in the early days of the post-Diluvian age. And see, people celebrated that animals were attacked. And so they needed a beast master. They needed somebody to take care of this problem. Because, hey, you know, the fear of man was on these animals, and they couldn't handle it. So they asked for a beast master, and Yahweh gave them one. Genesis 10 and 8.
Genesis 10 and 8.
And Cush begot Nimrod.
Mm-hmm.
He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
He was a mighty hunter, opposing Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter, opposing Yahweh.
Opposing Yahweh. See, he was against Yahweh. That's what it says. When he says he stood before Yahweh to say he was against him.
Yeah.
He was the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
See, read.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel,
Mm-hmm.
and Eric, and Arcade, and Canaan, in the land of Shinar. Out of that land he went to Assyria and built Nineveh.
He built Nineveh. Nineveh is a very ancient city. What do you mean? Hey, he's doing the same thing Cain did. Cain had no divine specifications, no divine instructions, no divine authority. Read.
And the city streets and Canaan.
That's good enough. Now, Nimrod built the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, you consult this book. This is a good book you can consult. It's called The Two Babylons, written by Alexander Hislop. And it's something else. There's something that most people don't really dwell on. And I've heard Dr. Kelly speak of it, and it's confirmed in this book. Nimrod was a black man. That's right. He was a black man. A lot of people don't know that, but it's in that book. And I've heard Dr. Kelly say this on the tape once. Right? He was a black man. In other words, you could say, and see, Nimrod, see, the thing that makes Nimrod so great, he hit upon the idea of walled enclosures. See, to protect people from the animals, from outlaws, the water. In other words, he put walled enclosures around the city. But now to live in his city, you got to pay tribute or taxes. Because that's why it says, human government, Tower of Babel. The things we do here in this world are drawn from Nimrod. The idea of taxation, that comes from Nimrod. Because to live in his city, you got to pay taxes. And he in turn will supply. So, well, you live in my city, you pay tribute and taxes, and in turn, we'll protect you, we'll make a marketplace for you, we'll supply water for you. Don't they do that today? You pay taxes, they supply police protection, fire, utilities, streets and sanitation, human services. It's no different. Where did you get it from? You got it from Nimrod. He was the one that started that. In fact, you can trace that old saying. There's nothing certain in life but death and taxes. You can trace that back. You can trace that back to Nimrod. Because Nimrod told those people, if you don't pay your taxes, death is certain. But human government today, it all comes from him. This is where it comes from. He's the origin of it. See? And so when they built the Tower of Babel, see, they were all one language. And then Yahweh came down and confounded their language. See, in other words, they were just working one day, and somebody says, hey man, can you pass me a hammer? And the other one says, okay, yeah. Well, you don't say, like, what do you say? Do you understand what he's saying? And this other guy speaking another language. Oh man, no, not you too. So those that could understand, so therefore the work had to stop. So then those who could understand each other, they got together and they just separated, scattered upon the face. As a matter of fact, read that. Read where is it?
And one.
Okay, go
And
ahead.
the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they saw the plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime and they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
Lest we be scattered abroad. Now, why would they say that? Why would they say that? Well, see, that's not the people talking. See, that's those satanic spirits that was over here in this age. See, they were incarnated in the man. So when the flood came and drowned out the human race, you can't drown out an incorporeal spirit. Those spirits just moved over to the other side and see it incarnated in the man here. So when they say, well, look, we don't want to get scattered. Why? Because they remember they got scattered before in the flood. See? In other words, you could say this. They had a severe case of water on the brain because they didn't believe Noah's covenant. They broke Noah's covenant. See? So therefore, they said, these demons, they had water on the brain. They said, well, look, let's build a tower. Why would you build a tower? Well, because we don't want to get flooded out again. So they had water on the brain. Do you like that one, Sasha? Okay. So now they were scattered hither and thither. Okay. So now we're going on down. Now look. Now we can get to this chart a little bit. Because we got here degeneration in the first Adam, right? It's coming on down. And we got this red serpent coming out. And we got Cain, who builds the city of Enoch here. And we got Nimrod, who builds the Tower of Babel here. Yeah. All right? So now this is the first Babylonian Empire. Okay? Now look. Dr. Kinley talks about universal dynasties. All right? And that's what these are. Now, all the kingdoms of the earth are satanic. I mean, you can talk about any kingdom that's in history that's ever been, from Genghis Khan to Shaka Zulu. They've all been satanic. But what we're dealing with now is the cream of the crop. See, the universal dynasties, the head and shoulders above all the rest. Okay? And that's what we're dealing with here. So now, Tower of Babel, that was the first Babylonian Empire. And so now we're going to jump here. Now we're pretty much at our subject, which is Daniel 2:31.
Daniel 2:31. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image.
Mm-hmm.
This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form...
Get down to the point where he's describing it, because I don't want to because
the image of the head was fine gold.
All right, the image of the head was fine gold. Now that points to Nebuchadnezzar, or Babylon, see, which is the second Babylonian Empire. All right? Go ahead.
His breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs.
Now hold it, his breast and arms of silver. Now that describes the kingdom that supplanted the Babylonians, which was the Medes and the Persians. Here's a footnote. You ever hear of the Kurdish people in the Middle East, the Kurds? The Kurdish people, and there's a lot of them. I didn't realize it. There's like maybe 30, 40 million strong, and they're scattered throughout various areas in the Mideast. Places like Turkey, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Afghanistan. They're scattered about, and nobody likes them. Do you know why nobody likes the Kurds? Because those people over there know that the Kurds are the modern-day descendants of the Medes. And they remember the conquest of the Medes and the Persians. And they said, no, we don't want these people to have a country because we don't want to be under their rule again. See, that's why they don't like the Kurds. Okay, so go ahead.
The legs of iron.
No, go back to the waist.
The belly and the thighs of brass.
Now here's the belly. That's Greece. See, that's Alexander the Great. See, and his conquest through, look, these are universal world dynasties. They conquered the known world at that time. See, read.
The legs of iron, the feet of part of iron and part of clay.
Now here's the legs of iron. Now one leg stands for pagan Rome. Another leg stands for papal Rome. Read.
Thou sawest still that a stone was cut out without hands.
Now here's the stone. Let me go over here. Here's the stone cut out without hands. Okay, read.
Which smote the image upon his feet.
Which smote the image.
that were of iron and of clay, and break them to pieces.
And breaks it to pieces. Okay, go ahead. Now that's Yahshua Messiah, because see, we got it right here. By his death, burial, resurrection, and ascension, outpouring of the Holy Spirit, the kingdom of Satan is abolished, and the kingdom of Yahweh is restored. Okay? Read.
Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer thrashing floor, and the wind carried them away, and no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king.
Read quickly.
Thou, O king, art the king of kings, for the Elohim of heaven has given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven has he given into thy hand.
Okay. Is that all on the king, on Nebuchadnezzar? Okay, hold it for a minute. Okay, now, there's this plate, 26. This is called history. And this is that image up here, see? Laid out according to the pattern. How? Well, here's Nebuchadnezzar laying asleep in his bed. That's a type of death. He is immersed in his dream. Then he is elevated in the spirit. See, this is an ascending and a descending plate. So now here's Nebuchadnezzar up here in the most holy place. Now, this, the clue to find out more about this plate is this word right here, history. All you have to do is go look up in this encyclopedia, the library, or the internet, unspecified history on these kingdoms. And I found out that Babylon is known for one of the great ancient wonders of the world, the hanging gardens of Babylon, right? I mean, Nebuchadnezzar built that out of love for his wife, who came from the hill country, and she was homesick, and so he built this garden of her homeland to make her, less homesick. But when you read in Daniel, you read when Nebuchadnezzar messed up and blasphemed Yahweh, and Yahweh turned him into a beast.
Yeah.
With eagle's wings and claws and feathers and stuff. And guess what? And he was like that for 7 years. But what did they do? Did they let him out in the woods? No. They put him in that garden he built. He was the beast man in a garden. Right? Why?
Because Satan.
He was the beast man in a garden.
Yeah.
See? Beast man. See, I will be like the Most High. See, I'm going to be like the Most High. In other words, look, he's got to go by the pattern. The purpose. So it's a beast man in the garden. Why? So now here's Nebuchadnezzar. He's a beast man in the garden. See? Read.
And after these shall rise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another...
Don't move me too fast, I got to go through this. Now, the next kingdom is the Medes and the Persians. And they're right here. And they're on the Babel. Why? Well, when you look up about the Medes and the Persians, the religion they believed in was a god. And I wish I had the illustration. I meant to bring it, but I forgot it. But you can find it. Just go on the internet and look up the illustration for this word. Ahuda Mazda. That's the god of the Medes and the Persians. And his depiction is a winged god. He's a god with wings. Why? Because what's on the veil? What's on the veil? Angel, and what is who is that? Who is the notorious angel on this veil? Lucifer. And they're depicted with wings, right? So same way here. See, the god of the Medes and the Persians was Ahura Mazda, a winged god. See? Read.
Thou art this head of gold. And after thee shall rise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall rule over all the earth.
Okay, now here's the third kingdom, the Greeks. Now we got it right here. And it's compared to the altar of incense. Why? Well, if you do a little check on history, you will find out that the Greeks were the first ones that invented the process of distillation of perfumes. And see, perfume, the word perfume means to smoke. And where does perfume come from? It comes from incense. And see, that's correlated to the altar of incense here. See, we're just using the pattern. Okay? Just correlate it. Because Satan has to go by the pattern. If he doesn't go by the pattern, how are you going to pick him out? How are you going to identify him? How are you going to spot him? See? Read.
And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdueth all things. And as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise.
Okay, so now that's the Rome. See, now I'll just jump on pagan Rome for a minute. See, because what's down here? See, well, look down here. You got the sacrifice, the washing, and the cup of holy anointing oil. Well, over here you got pagan Rome reinstituting cardinal ordinances. Talking about, changing the bread and the wine into the body and blood of Christ. It's talking about one restored water baptism. And here you got that raven here, see, because if you remember the story of Noah, see, he sent out a raven. Yeah. See, and that raven didn't come back. See, going out to and fro, seeking whom he may devour. Right. See, which is the same here. You're just looking at the pattern. See, or you're using the compass. Okay? Quickly, I want, I think it's Daniel, I think it's 5th chapter. Let's start with 1. What does it say?
In the beginning of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and vision of his head upon his bed.
Now, this is years later after Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Daniel is shown a confirmation vision of what was shown to Nebuchadnezzar. Read.
Then he wrote the dream and told of the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens stole upon the great sea, and the 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion.
Like a lion. See, now that's correlated to Nebuchadnezzar. See, in other words, the scripture says, a man without a knowledge of Yahweh is as a natural brute beast. So these kingdoms, see, are depicted by these animals. So now, the kingdom of Babylon was like a lion, a roaring lion. Because didn't Lucifer say I would be like the Most High? See, well, what is Judah? See, now he's going to be a lion. Why? Because he's going to be like the Most High. Because the lion is a symbol for Judah. See, so now he's going to be like the Most High. Read.
And had eagle's wings. I beheld still the wings thereof were plucked. And it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man. And a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised it up itself on one side. Now that was the Medes and the Persians. That was their characteristics. They were like a bear. They could, how a bear is a pretty powerful. I mean, people, can be deceptive on bears because they look cute. Some of us grew up with teddy bears, sleep with them, But a bear is a very dangerous animal. You do not want to mess with a bear. See, a bear can run, and also a bear can stand up. See, so a bear is a very formidable creature, really. Not many animals in the world can withstand a bear. Read. And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon its back of its 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had also 4 heads. Okay, so now, what happened? Now, that's Alexander the Great. Now, historians say Alexander the Great, the reason why he was so successful in his campaign, because he knew how to strike hard and fast. And so now the 4 wings, now when he died at 33 years of age. And he left no successor. So his kingdom was divided up amongst his 4 generals. That's why there's 4 wings on this picture. They represented the 4 generals who were his successors. Okay? Read. The beast had also 4 heads. The dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had a great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there was 3 of the first horns plucked up by the root. And behold, in the horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the ancient days.
Okay, now hold it for a minute. Now that's Rome. See, pagan and papal Rome. In other words, the little horn coming up speaking great blasphemous things, that's the papacy. See, that's this composite beast. See, in other words, what you're looking at, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So now, these are the universal dynasties that have come down through the ages and dispensations. Okay? Dr. Kinley said these are the dynasties that rule the world. Okay, whether you realize it or not. They rule the world. Okay, now, I want, something else, since I'm on it. You got that book over there? Yes. Isaac Asimov. Turn to what I marked to. Now, she's going to read something from this book. See, now look. We read Nebuchadnezzar had a dream. or a vision, correct? What I want to tell you is this. All these great rulers had dreams and visions Yahweh gave to them concerning their kingdoms. Okay? We're going to read about one of them. Now, this book was written by Dr. Isaac Asimov. Now, some of you may have heard of him. He's a scientist and a sci-fi writer, but I didn't know he was a historian. In fact, I found this book in a Goodwill store, and I paid $1 for it. But the information in it is worth a lot more than that. So now he's recounting the history of Alexander the Great coming through the Middle East and his conquest. Okay, now he has doubts about why Alexander did not conquer Jerusalem, but he's going to quote another historian whose name was Flavius Josephus, and we're going to read this.
The book is called The Land of Canaan. As for Alexander, he could move again from Tyre safely in his pocket.
From Tyre. In other words, Alexander's conquered Tyre, and so now he's coming down. He's on his way to Egypt, and on his way to Egypt, he's got to pass by Jerusalem. Okay, read.
With a navy at his command, unknown for Persia, he could continue to march southward to take what remained of the Mediterranean provinces. He anticipated no resistance, and he certainly met with none in Judea.
Mm-hmm.
Very likely, he bypassed Jerusalem without even knowing it existed or caring.
Now that's Dr. Asimov's opinion. But read.
Josephus, a Jewish historian who wrote 4 centuries later, tells a story, however, that is not to be found in any of the Greek accounts, but is designed to redound to Judean prestige. He says that during the siege of Tyre, Alexander demanded Jewish help.
Mm-hmm.
In itself unbelievable, since Alexander could scarcely need the help of a tiny vegetating city.
Yeah, his comments, his opinion. See, but read.
Which was refused.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, as the siege was done, he intended to punish Jerusalem in consequence,
Mm-hmm.
as if he would waste his time when all Egypt was beckoning to him. Outside Jerusalem, says Josephus, Alexander was met by the high priest Jaddua in full panoply at the head of the assembled priesthood.
Now, what does that mean? Full panoply. In other words, he had on his garments of beauty and glory. Full panoply. I mean, isn't that what? Where is it at? Isn't that what this is? When he's got on his garments of beauty and glory, the mitre, the hip plate, the breastplate, the ephod, that's his full panoply. Okay? So now, this high priest is leading a retinue of priests out of the city to meet this oncoming army. Okay? They're walking out here. You know, read.
At this, Alexander dismounted and bowed, explaining...
Alexander saw this image, got off his horse, and bowed to that man. Read.
Explaining to the general at his side.
Hold it. Now the his general is tripping because he said, "Why in the world are you bowing to this Jew?" And Alexander replied,
explaining to the general at his side that he had seen a figure just like this in a dream.
Now I didn't write that. That's in a book. You could probably, it's out of print, but you could probably find it somewhere, order it or something. I didn't write that. See, Yahweh has no respect for a person when it comes to visions and revelations. He will get, he's got to show the satanic spirit visions and revelations so the satanic spirit knows what he has to do. It's spirit law that controls the mystery of iniquity. So Yahweh is in full control of everything. There's nothing, and I say nothing, that escapes his will.
Yeah.
So now, here we got Lucifer and his universal dynasty. We already showed you how he was cast out of heaven. And see, he was on the veil. See, Joshua said this, "I beheld Satan fall like lightning from heaven." Why could he say that? Because Lucifer was on the veil, and when he was cast down, he had to pass by the Ark of the Covenant. See, which is the throne of Yahweh. See, that's why Joshua could say, "I beheld Satan fall like lightning from heaven." See? So now, if that be the case, in the law and the prophets, then we got to look here for John, because he's confirming everything Moses is writing. And look, he's not just confirming Moses, he's confirming the prophets as well. Because everything the prophets has to say has got to be drawn out of what Moses says. Okay? Revelation 17 chapter.
Revelation 17:1.
Now go down some more. It's about this mystery, about the harlot. What?
4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
This got to be drawn.
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the sons, and with the blood of the martyrs of Joshua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore dost thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they beheld the beast that was and is not, and yet is. And here's the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth.
Now, the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman said, now, let's always talk to me, and I have nothing against it. And that represents the 7 hills of Rome, which is okay. However, we're dealing with a colossal, stupendous, panoramic vision. And we're tracing the mystery of iniquity through the ages and dispensations of time. So a mountain represents a kingdom, because from a military standpoint, they always tell you, take the high ground. If you're going to defend a position, get on the high ground, because it's easier to defend the high ground. So when these kingdoms, like these cities, they usually would build them on mountains or on a high position. So these 7 mountains represent 7 kingdoms that have come down through history. See, read.
And there are 7 kings.
There's 7 kings. Now hold it. Let's see like this. Read.
And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is. And the others.
Hold it. Don't read too fast, because I don't want people to misunderstand. There are 7 kings. These are the 7 divine kingdoms, satanic kingdoms that have come down through history. Now, start that old verse over and read.
And there are 7 kings.
There's 7 kings.
5 are fallen.
5 are fallen. Hold it. 5 are fallen. What do you mean? Now, look. John, who's on the Isle of Patmos, is receiving this vision in AD 96. Now, of course, he is taken up into eternity. All right? But he's taken out of AD 96. So by AD 96, 5 of these kingdoms are no more. City of Enoch is gone, Tower of Babel is gone, Babylon is gone, Medes and Persia is gone, and Greece is gone. These 5 are gone by AD 96. Read.
And 1 is.
And 1 is. Now the 1 is that exists in AD 96 is Rome of the pagans, or of the Caesars. Because it was the Roman Empire that put John out here on the Isle of Patmos in the first place. He was exiled out there. But it was according to the will of Yahweh. See? He was out there. And I'll tell you something else. He was out there for 20 years, too. How about that? And here's something else maybe you haven't thought about. He was 80 years old when he was put out here. How do I know that? Because see, that's how old was Moses when he went up this mountain. See, he was 80 years old. What do you mean? Hey, what is an island? An island is nothing more than a mountain sticking out of the ocean. See? So now if he's 80 years old here, hey, because he's 80 years old over here, one is confirming the other. He got to go up a mountain, he's really on a mountain too. We call it an island, it's just an island sticking out of the water, but that's what an island is. See? It's just a mountain sticking out of the water. And look, and that wasn't no Paradise Island out here, that was a prison for that man.
Right.
That was a rock. You know, it wasn't like, just nice, all that. No, it wasn't. But he was out there for the word of Yahweh. So now it was the Romans that put him out there. Read.
And the other is not yet come.
Now in AD 96, the papacy had not yet come. But read.
And when he cometh, he must continue a short
Now
space.
when the papacy do come, it must continue a short space. And it did, until our founder published his textbook, God, the Archetype Original Pattern of the Universe, upon which he said and declared the Roman Catholic Church had fallen flat and in a fit. That was after 1960. And that was the end of the Roman Catholic Church as it was at that time, prior to Vatican Council II. Because the things they do today is nothing like what they did 100 years ago or before that. See, and read.
11. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th.
Now, since that time, since the time of the publication of our textbook, we, the world, have been living in the 8th satanic kingdom. Right. What are you talking about? Hey, it's no more than a conglomeration of the previous 7. That's all it is. Consider it. You drive an automobile. An automobile is nothing more than a modern-day chariot. You even look under the hood and say, hey, bro, how much horsepower does it have? You know what I'm saying? Everything. I saw something on the History Channel once, and it said this. It says there is no such thing as new ideas, just evolution of old ones. Elevators, they had elevators in ancient times. They may not have been powered electrically, you know. People may have had to pull it or horse-drawn, but they had elevators. They even had open doors. A lot of people, they even had batteries. Egyptians have had batteries in ancient times. A lot of these things existed. It's just that today we, learn better how to, make them more efficient. Evolution, but it's really, there's no new ideas. It's like the scripture says, there's nothing new under the sun. And so everything we use in the world today is based on the accomplishments of the ancients. See, it's all just conglomerated together. See, that's why, the whole world, we talk about globalization. Hey, that's nothing new. We told you, Cain started it back here, and it was ruled by one city. Hey, it's no different today because the whole world, because of electronics, technology and all, you can call somebody in Hunan province, China. See, everybody's connected, World Wide Web, digital is digital, Hey, it's one big city now. Why? Because that's how it was back here. Ruled by what, and the whole earth now is that one city, Babylon. Read. 11.
And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition.
Now this is the situation where we are now, the way the world is now, that's the state it's going to be when it goes into perdition. This conglomeration of all these ancient universal dynasties. Read.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings,
Read.
which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
Now, people have always speculated about this verse. People like Hal Lindsey, I remember reading his book in high school. They're talking about the European Union and all this kind of stuff, not understanding the scriptures. See, because we had the scriptures read about what Lucifer likes. He likes birth control, he likes to lie, and he likes trafficking. That's his big, those are his, that's his thing. So now the 10 kingdoms of the world, they are these here. These are the 10 horns. These are the 10 kingdoms of the world. Agriculture, medical, mercantile, entertainment, sports, and theaters and stuff, science and technology, education and religion and media, heavy industries, manufacturing, transportation, military, political. Those are the 10 kingdoms. And look, you got kings and queens. You got kings in all these. I mean, hey, look. Disney is the king of the entertainment business. The NFL or the NBA, that's their king of the sports business. You got the medical field. You got Pfizer, that's a drug company. That's a king in the medical world. You got Archer Daniels Midland Company, that's a king in the agricultural world. Ever heard of Adnan Khashoggi? He's a billionaire arms dealer. That's a king in the military world. See, all these, they have kings, and see these multinational corporations, they're the kings of this earth because they traffic in merchandise of all sorts. Revelations 18 and 9.
And the king of the earth, who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city of Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is the judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn.
Why would the merchants? Well, because they're making a profit off these lies and trafficking. See, they're going to mourn that. But read.
And no man buyeth her merchandise anymore, and the merchandise of gold and silver and precious.
Hold on for a minute. Now listen carefully what she's getting ready to read, because everything she's going to read, you can find a category for it up here somewhere. All right? Start that over.
The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls and fine linen, and purple and silk and scarlet, and all diamond wood, and all manner vessel of ivory, and all manner vessel of most precious wood, and of brass and iron and marble, and cinnamon and odors and ointments, and frankincense and wine, and oil, and the fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and the horses, and the chariots, and the slaves, and the souls of men.
Now, that guy has really got some business going. You know that? And souls of men. You know what that means? You're a commodity too. Oh yeah, you're a commodity. Yeah. Hey, to be bought, sold, traded, and bartered for. One of the best ways that Lucifer can get you on your soul is to convince you that you don't have one. No, I don't care if I lose something I don't think I got. And Lucifer said, that's cool with me. Bartering, buying and selling, everything, every and anything. That's what he does. See? That's what he does. Now, I want to get to this one part here. Because we go back to the 17th chapter where you were left off from there, from the 10 horns.
And the 10 horns,
Yes.
which thou sawest, are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give them power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome him. For he is Yahweh, and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth for peoples and multitudes.
So she sits on people, in other words, incarnated in the minds of men. See, in other words, it's like this. See, when you're born into this world, you're not born satanic. However, because of the way this world is, you are a sponge when you come into this world. You absorb everything from this. So when people say, yeah, this chart takes your picture, hey, I can say this is the way you look like when you came into this class. Because you had absorbed all the things that these satanic kingdoms had laid out on you from birth. Now, if your parents had not did anything to you, see, once you get past the age of accountability, then you are held accountable to this. Dr. Kelly once said this. He said he gave man a sufficient amount of intelligence to understand this doctrine. That's right. Now, if you don't use that intelligence, then Yahweh feels justified in sending you to the way. Because that's not his fault if you don't use the intelligence that he gave you. That's right. See? That's why Dr. Kinley used to say, well, shoot, hey, if you went to college for 4 years, it would take me 4 years to de-educate you. Because, see, you've absorbed all of this. All of this. You've absorbed all your life. So it would take a mighty rock to smash the image that you created of yourself in your mind. Read.
16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Elohim hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast.
Okay, that's good enough. That's good enough. In other words, it's just a long way of saying Satan's kingdom is divided against itself. See, now it may be divided against itself and they'll fight each other, but when it comes to some Yahshuas, they'll get together for you and take care of you. They'll do that, but they'll fight among themselves. Now, here's an example of it up here. Now, you got the British Isles illustrated here, and I used to always wonder about this for years, but then, I remember that little magic word, history, and just go look some things up. And now, you have this letter, this word here. So you got a crown here, and this word, wife, right? Now, up here, you got that beehive tiara the Pope used to wear, and you got the word husband here. Now, what is that talking about? Well, if you check a little bit of history, you would find out that there was one guy named Henry Tudor. Now, if you don't know that name, you may know him better by Henry VIII. And what most people know about Henry VIII is that he had 6 wives. But why did he have 6 wives? Because the Roman Catholic Church wouldn't grant him a divorce. So what he did was he divorced his country from the Pope or the husband and created and married the Anglican Church of England. That's why it says wife and husband, because see, he divorced his country from the Pope or from the husband. Or in other words, Satan's kingdom divided against itself. Now when they separated from the Pope, it didn't make them any less satanic. In fact, eventually Henry VIII's daughter, Elizabeth I, became queen, and it was under her reign that the beginning of the British Empire came about. And the British Empire came about because they had supremacy on the high sea. In fact, there was one pivotal battle that set the stage, and that's the Battle of the Spanish Armada, where they sent a whole bunch of fleets, a fleet of ships to conquer England. But Yahweh sent a storm there to get rid of that, and once they were defeated, England ruled supreme on the high seas, and they began their empire. One of the first places they did was the state. Did you know the state of Virginia is named after Queen Elizabeth I? because she was known as the Virgin Queen. And so Sir Walter Raleigh, who started the colony in Roanoke, Virginia, named the area Virginia after the Virgin Queen, Elizabeth I. See, that was the beginning of the British Empire, and they ruled the world. In fact, they used to say this: the sun never sets on the British Empire, because they had colonies on every continent on the planet. Now, America is no more than a breakaway colony from the British Empire. See? And all these things that happened after the so-called New World was discovered by Columbus, and I always trip on that when I say that, Columbus discovered America. Of course, the native peoples would have a different take on that version, right? They would tell you this: Columbus never discovered America. In fact, what happened was Columbus got lost, and we discovered him. See? But anyway, so you got Satan's kingdom divided against itself. You got the British Empire, and so now it started under Elizabeth I. Now the British Empire transitioned after World War II in 1945 into what is now known as the British Commonwealth. And guess what? Guess who was queen during the time of this? Elizabeth II, the same queen that is reigning now. So it started off with an Elizabeth, and it ended with an Elizabeth. See, the British Empire. And when they went into decline, America went into ascendancy, because America is a breakaway colony from the British Empire that supplanted and took its place. And now we got America, which is the largest army, navy in the world. And really, the United States has the largest naval force on the planet. We've got submarines that go everywhere, under the North Pole, South Pole, every ocean, every body of water that you can think of, that you can put one in. See? And they're entertaining notions of empire. So now what you look at is America, because America is the culmination of the world, because everybody in the world comes to America. You can find every ethnic group on the planet in America. So now we see America is these satanic kingdoms in part, see, being manifested. And look, we got right here the Garden of Eden. Now the Garden of Eden, according to Dr. Kinley, where he put it at, was located in Iraq. But what is today modern day Iraq? Because, see, you can read about the rivers in the book of Genesis, the river Euphrates and the Tigris. See, so you got the Garden of Eden here in Iraq. And now here you got America, which is the culmination in part of all these empires here in Iraq. So really, I shouldn't be any big surprise that America is in Iraq, where the Garden of Eden used to be, and America is the culmination of these empires. Hey, I would say that's tantamount to the criminal returning to the scene of the crime. See? Oh yeah, this is an amazing doctrine, I think. Okay? Now, here's the second lecture. This is who is the seventh angel? Now, Dr. Kinley used to say this. Get Jacob's ladder, because I'm running out of time. You got it? You move faster if you don't mind.
Genesis 28 and 10. And Jacob went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillows, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angel of Elohim ascending and descending on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good enough. So now this is showing the pattern here. Now look, we got this chart here. And we told you that the pattern is a compass. So now when you look at these plates, and the 40-plate chart, they're either going to be doing one of three things. They're either going to be descending, ascending, or doing both. Okay? So now that's the thing. Now Dr. Kinley used to say this. You don't even know how to ask a good question. I mean, he say that all the time. And I've heard it on quite a few tapes. All right, fine. I don't know how to ask a good question. Then instruct me on how to ask a good question. And I picked up something I heard on the tape once. It was on the women's meeting tape. That really, for me, I don't know if it would help you, but it kind of helps me a little. And I termed it as this. I call it Kinley's maxim. Now, you know what a maxim is? That's a principle or a rule of thumb. And he said this on a women's meeting tape with this woman who was trying to pull a question out, and he just got exactly, he said, look, when you ask a question, ask it like you really want to know. How do you really want to know? Hey, you got to think about it. You got to consider it. You got to use the pattern. Hebrews 5 and 12.
Hebrews 5 and 12. For when for the time you ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles, the oracles of Yahweh.
What is the oracle of Yahweh? Now, if you look it up in some old dictionaries, they will tell you the oracle of Yahweh is the Ark of the Covenant. And what do you do to an oracle? You petition it. You ask questions. This is the oracle you need to petition to find out the answers. How do you ask a good question? You use the steps of the pattern to get to that oracle. I want what Jacob's wrestling the angel. Quickly, because I'm running out of time.
Help.
28:12.
Thank you.
28:12. And he dreamed and
No, which
Jacob's when he wrestled.
book?
Genesis.
28 and 12?
And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, Thou shalt take a wife.
No, I went when he's wrestling the angel. I admit I'm not a bibliomaniac. That's why I had my Bible up here. Quickly, because this.
28 is Jacob's ladder.
32.
32. And Jacob went on his way.
No, go down. If you at the beginning, go down. Look.
That's one.
No, go
Jacob
down.
was left alone.
That's it. Where you at?
32 and 23.
Thank you.
And he took them and sent them over the brook and sent them over that he had. And Jacob was left alone.
Right.
And there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day.
All right.
And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his
In
thigh.
other words, the angel wasn't. The angel was losing. The angel was losing, and so he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh, and went out. But Jacob, he held on. Read.
And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint. And he wrestled with him.
Still wrestling with him, with his hip out. He's still wrestling this man. Read.
And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh.
The angel said, let me go. The day's breaking. I got to be somewhere. Read.
And he said, I will not let thee go,
Now, I ain't letting you go
except thou bless
till
me.
you bless me. Read.
And he said unto him, What is thy name?
Mhm.
And he said, Jacob.
Read.
And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, prince with El. For thou hast striven with Elohim and with men, and hast prevailed.
And you have prevailed. Now, somebody would say you have power with them. Is that not read the King James? Is that what it says in the King James?
It has power with God and with men and has prevailed.
And you have power with them because you prevailed. See? Now, when you read that story, see, you don't read nowhere where Jacob's hip was healed. For that matter, which hip was it? Was it this one or this one? How do you know that? No, you don't be pointing. Just show me. How do you know that? Because I got a pattern. Now remember, we told you about the attributes. See, here's this anthropomorphic man here. And see, now you can see the attributes. You see wisdom, intelligence, knowledge around the head. That represents the crown of the attributes. And then you got love, beauty, and justice here, foundation. And then you got power and strength on the legs. Got power on one leg, strength on the other. So I can look at this pattern and know that it was this hip because that correlates with power. In other words, he took his power and gave him his power. That's right here. See, so Jacob was, for the rest of his life, he's walking with a staff. Leaning on his staff, because that staff and that rod represents the knowledge and the power of Elohim that he was walking with.
Yeah.
See? Because he wrestled, he contended, and he prevailed.
Yeah.
Hosea 12 and 2.
Hosea 12 and 2. Yahweh has also a controversy with Judah, and will punish Jacob according to his ways, according to his doings. Will he recompense him? He took his brother by the heel and the wound, and by his strength he had power with Elohim. Yea, he had power over the angel.
He had power over the angel. In other words, he contended against the angel, and he prevailed. And he was blessed for it. Read.
And he wept and made supplication unto him.
He was joyous about it, that he received that blessing. Read.
he found him in Bethel, and there he spake with us.
That's good enough. Quickly get Hebrews 11th chapter where it says, by faith Jacob. Thank you.
11 and 21. 11 and 20. By faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith Jacob, when he was a dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph in worship, leaning upon the top of his staff.
Leaning on the top of his staff. Why? But he was leaning on the top of his staff because he had power within him. See? It's the same thing today. Okay? Quickly get Daniel 7:25. Because now this is getting into my list. This is the seventh angel. As a matter of fact, why you get that? Get that in the seventh angel. That's 10, Revelations 10. Hold that. Get that. And Revelation 7. Revelations 10. I think it's 10. It's somewhere around there.
10 and 7. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound the mystery of Elohim, should be finished, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets.
Now I found that Henry Clifford Kinley on the Pine City election declared himself that he was that seventh angel. See? He was that seventh angel. Now look, now that's in the book of Revelation, and I got to go back here to confirm it. Is that not correct? All right, get Daniel. Quickly, because I'm
Daniel
running out of time.
7:25. And this is the writing that was written.
No, you're the holy name. See, that's 5:25 for
And
you.
he
You got
shall
the holy
speak
name.
great words against the Most High,
Okay, now he's going to speak great words against the Most High, talking about the satanic spirit. Read.
and shall wear out the sons of the Most High,
Read.
and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it unto the end.
That's good enough. Now here, let's explain this. This is what a time is. A time is 360 days. We're talking about prophetic time. Now, prophetically speaking, that's 360 days, which is the same as 12 months, which is the same as 1 year. Now, times, because it's plural, is just simply 2 times whatever it is up here. So times is 720 days, 24 months, 2 years. And the dividing of time is just simply half of whatever it is up here. So 180 days, 6 months, 1 year. When you add all this together, it comes out to 1,260 days, 42 months, 3.5 years. Okay? I'm with the last chapter of Daniel. Maybe down around 4th, 5th verse somewhere.
12 and 5. Then I, Daniel, looked. Is that what you want?
Just read.
Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other 2, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swore by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for times and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, Oh, my Yahweh, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly. And none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time of the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up. There shall be 1,290 days.
1,290 days. What are you talking about? We already showed you the scale. 1,260 days is the same as 3.5. So now the 1,290 is no more than 1,260 plus 30, which is 1,290. So 1,290 in principle is the same as 33.5 years of Joshua's life, which is when the daily sacrifice was taken away. Okay, read.
Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days.
Good enough. So now, who's the one that waited? Because see, look, if the 1,290 days, according to the chronology, is the 33.5 years of Joshua's death, burial, resurrection, right here. This is 1,290 right here. 1335 is more than that. So now Daniel, who's in a vision, he's looking down the line. He sees this. 1,290 days. He says, but now blessed is he who waited to the 1335. See, he's looking further down the line. Now, who was that? See, who was that? Well, if I take 1,290 and subtract it from 1335, it will come out to be 45. Now, who do we know down here at the end of these times is what the number associated with 45? Dr. Kinley, who preached for 45 years. Now, how can you prove that? Quickly, because I ain't got much time. 1 Samuel, I think it's the 6th chapter. See? Because, and I'll tell you something else. That scripture applies to nobody else in the history of the world, past, present, or future. Nobody, I mean, if you think there's a candidate, well, Dr. Kinley would say, stand up and let's take a look at it. We'll examine it in full detail. But there is nobody else. There's no 8th angel. There's no successor. There is no 8th angel. Quickly, first, when it talks about David, how long he ruled there. 1 Samuel 6. Okay, maybe not 6. It says where Daniel, how long Daniel ruled. I mean, David ruled. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's 5th. Oh no, that might be 2nd Samuel. I'm sorry. I told you I wasn't a bibliomaniac. 2 Samuel 5 and 4.
David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months. And in Jerusalem, he reigned 30 and 3 years over all Israel and Judah.
Now, Jerusalem was never conquered by Joshua, son of Nun, or anybody until David comes along. In fact, it wasn't even called Jerusalem. It was called Jebus. And it was the home of the Jebusites. So now the Ark of the Covenant didn't sit on Mount Zion up here until David came to Jerusalem and brought it with him. So the years that David ruled in Jerusalem is the same concurrent years that the Ark is sitting on Mount Zion. In other words, David ruled for 33 years. The Ark was sitting there 33 years of his reign. You understand that? Okay. So now, when David dies, who takes over? Solomon, right? 1 Kings 6 and 1.
6 and 1. And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Zeth, which is the 2nd month, that he began to build the house of Yahweh. And the house which King Solomon built for Yahweh, the length thereof was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof.
That's good enough. It was in the 4th year of his reign. Get to the last verse in the chapter.
And in the 11th year, in the month of Babel, which is the 8th month, was the house finished.
Okay, so now 11 years. Okay, now during the first 11 years of Solomon's reign, in that time, 7 years they built the temple. The Ark is still sitting on Mount Zion for those 11 years of Solomon before the furnishings are moved into the temple. So 11, that's 44 years at this point that the Ark is sitting on Mount Zion. Now, we're going to read the textbook, 4th volume. Tell them where you're at quickly.
4th volume, page 41.
What is this title?
The dedication.
Thank you.
Solomon deferred the dedication of the temple for 1.5 years following its completion, because the year was finished according to Usher was a jubilee.
Okay, now that's good enough. He deferred the dedication of the temple because it was a jubilee year before the furnishing. We keep reading.
This was a nice jubilee opening the 4th millennium.
No, that's good enough. I don't want to get into that. But anyway, the furnishings were moved after 45, and really you can just get rid of it after 45 years. See, why? Because, see, if you believe the 45-year legacy of Dr. Kinley, see, then your soul and spirit will be moved into this greater furnishing, the temple. See, that's the 45, see? All right? How about another witness? Joshua 14 and 6. See? Okay, I'm almost through, thankfully.
14 and 6.
Yes.
Then the children of Judah came to Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, said unto them, Thou knowest the thing that Yahweh said unto Moses, the man of Elohim, concerning me and thee in Kadesh Barnea. 40 years old was I when Moses, the servant of Yahweh, sent me to Kadesh Barnea.
Yeah, remember he was one of the 2 spies, right? Joshua and Caleb that spied out the land. See, read.
To spy out the land, and I brought him word again as it was in mine heart. Nevertheless, my brethren that went up with me made the heart of the people melt. But I wholly followed Yahweh, my Elohim. And Moses swore on that day, saying, Surely the land whereupon thy feet have trodden shall be thine inheritance, and thy children forever, because thou hast wholly followed Yahweh my elders.
Because he wholly followed Yahweh. Read.
And now behold, Yahweh kept me alive, and he said, these 40 and 5 years, even since...
How long?
40 and
45 years. And then what? Read.
Even since Yahweh spake this word unto Moses, while the children of Israel wandered in the wilderness. And now, lo, I am this day 45 years old. And yet I am as strong this day as I was in the day that Moses sent me.
Now that's the way we should be. We should be as strong now as the day we came into this thing. See? Read.
And my strength was then, even so is my strength
That's
now.
right. Go ahead.
For war.
For war.
Both go out.
I can go out, kick some butt, read,
And come in.
and come back in and sit down for dinner.
Hallelujah.
Read.
Now therefore give me this fountain.
Give me this mountain or give me my inheritance. After 45 years. So after the 45-year legacy that we studied Dr. Kinley, hey, we are expecting an inheritance. And that's what we want. That's what we want. And listen, there's no one else. There is no successor. There's no eighth angel. This is the seventh angel. The seventh angel is his work. See, you have to contend against the seventh angel. Well, where's Henry Clifford Kinley? And prevail. Because if you prevail, then you will have power with him. Because didn't Dr. Kinley used to say all the time, look, don't stand out there, come in here. Come up on stage. Contend with me. Did he not say that? Why? Because if you contend with me and prevail, I will bless you. What do you mean? Hey, people talk about correlations and they're out of date. No. Correlations are tools to use to understand this vision. We can't teach you this divine thing. We can only give you divine instructions. See? And there are things that our founder has laid out here that really we haven't even scratched the surface yet. I just showed you one. So I don't have to invent something new or come up with something different. All I got to do is just go back to the seventh angel and contend with him. So I can receive my blessing. So that we all can receive our blessings. See? One more scripture and I'm done. Romans 14th chapter. Uh, 14 and 9. No, I'm sorry, 12 and 9. Forgive me. Romans 12 and 9.
12 and 9.
Yes.
Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil. Cleave to that which is good. Be kindly affectioned one to another with brotherly love. In honor, preferring one another. Thus slothful in business. Fervent in spirit. Serving Yahweh. Rejoicing in hope. Patient in tribulation. Continuing instant in prayer. Distributing to the necessity of sons. Given to hospitality. Bless them which persecute you.
Bless them that persecute you.
And curse not.
And curse not.
Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that weep. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceits.
Don't be wise in your own conceits. And that's what has happened to us. Instead of queuing to the line, see, we became wise and we started inventing things. Read.
Recompense to no man evil for evil. Provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith Yahweh.
Yahweh, he'll take care of it. Read quickly.
Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him.
And that's what we're doing. We're feeding you. You don't like what we're feeding, but we're feeding you anyway.
Right.
Read.
If he thirst, give him drink.
We're giving you a drink of water here, folks.
Yeah.
That's why we're having this workshop. We ain't trying to kill them, and we want to help you. We want to feed you.
Yeah.
We want to take care of you. We want to heal you.
Yeah.
Read.
For in so doing thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head.
That's these attributes. Read.
Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good.
That's what this workshop is about. We ain't trying to, be supreme or nothing. And look, Ontario class, I can tell you, I'll be the first one to tell you, we're pretty much a step above a motley crew. You don't believe it? Read our minutes sometimes. But Yahweh has died on this, to do this. And hey, and really Yahweh said he takes the base things of the world to confound the light. So in conclusion, I didn't get to a lot of things, but I hope I gave a decent enough overview. If you have any questions, please feel free. And we hope that you enjoy this workshop. And I am truly glad all of you came. And with those few words, I praise Yahweh.